What is up, YouTube? It is I, Clutch Marles, and I'm back. This is part 2 of doing head gaskets and freshening up my 3100, 3400. It works for both of them. Now, in the last video, you guys will remember I went to AutoZone. We tried to see how many warranties we had on this engine, and they said they were only good for a year, so they denied me. But, you know, maybe they knew. Shirt available on clutchmarlesmotorsports.com. But let's get into this. Here is what we got today. We got this big pack of gaskets. We got head bolts, oil filter. We got a new, don't tell me, idler arm. That's what I call it. We got a water pump. We got oil. A couple new sensors for the engine. So let's get down to it. First off, I'd like to start by saying, one, I am not a certified mechanic. I'm a semi-professional stunt car driver, and every now and then you have to fix your own engines. And this is just me walking you guys through how I personally do my head gaskets. You know, you might be able to do this with a daily driver and it run forever, but just know, like, rednecks have redneck ways. Back to the video. So the first thing I do is you can use the internet. I'm kind of old. I got a bunch of these old books, and they will walk you through step by step on how to repair anything on your car, pretty much. So I go through and I draw a picture of my head, my lower intake, my upper intake. The numbers are the torque sequence, and all of these are the torque specs for what I'm working on today. The big thing to remember is you have foot-pounds and you have inch-pounds. Now, 120 inch-pounds is 10 foot-pounds. Now, if you get them mixed up and you try to put 115 foot-pounds on your lower intake, which is, where is it at? Right here. This thing's aluminum. Same with the upper intake. Upper intake, lower intake. If you try to put 115 foot-pounds, you're going to crack it. 100% every time. Ask me how I found out there was, like, in the book, they just go back and forth. Inch-pounds, foot-pounds. Like, they use it, like they don't even tell you they're swapped out. So you have to get a, where is it at? This one is inch-pounds. This one is foot-pounds. And for those of you who've never used one of these, you have numbers going up the side. Turn it on the American side. All right, zoom in. So right now it's set to 0. You can see 10, 20, 30, 40. And if you turn the dial on the bottom and then start spinning the handle, you'll see that it moved up. Now the 0 is on the line. That is officially 10 foot-pounds. And that's pretty much how you use the torque wrench. You will tighten the end. And now when you put a socket on it and you reach 10 foot-pounds, it will go click, click. And you have to physically make it do more. We'll get to that more in a minute. Now, next up for me, I put everything on the ground. That way you can see everything you have. Like, these are the valve stem seals. They go in the heads themselves on the valve stems. We didn't take the heads apart, so, you know, we don't really need that. These are new exhaust flanges. I am running headers because, like I said, it's a derby engine. We might use these, might not. Have to see if it will bolt up with them. I believe these are all new O-rings for the fuel injection, but since we did not pull the fuel injectors off, we're probably not going to need these. This is the upper intake gasket. That is the timing gasket. Head gaskets. These go on to your upper intake. Rear main seal, which we did not, we're not replacing that. That's on, that's a more longer engine haul, overhaul. So we'll put that in that pile. Valve cover gaskets and water pump gaskets. Timing cover, where it goes around the crankshaft, oil pan, and then the push rod valve guides, whatever you want to call them. So we're going to start with the head gaskets. Now, in this pack, there is two. You got to be careful when you go to certain parts stores, because these come usually, like, unless you're buying a kit like this, these come in a set of one. So if you're not paying attention, they will sell you one. Now, I have seen some head gaskets that say top, but most of the time they have their logo on both sides. If the logo's only on one, I'm going to put the logo facing up. Is that right? I'm not 100% sure. Will it work either way? I would guess more than likely. So you should have these little nipples on your engine block. If you don't have them on your block, they're probably still stuck in your heads. These, let's see if I can do it by hand. These pull out really easy. And all it is a guide to help hold your gasket in place. And it helps line up your head when you set your head on there. Now you're going to notice not all the holes line up. Majority of them do. But every engine, is a little different. Sometimes you'll have, I've seen holes where there shouldn't be, and then I've seen this blocked off where there's a hole behind it. You can look down through here and see, like, there's multiple ways for coolant to get through to the engine. Now, with a head gasket, you have coolant flowing through all these holes. Up in here, you have oil flowing to keep the camshaft and all that cool. If you ever notice a car and their exhaust is blowing out a lot of white smoke, that means one of the antifreeze holes, the coolant holes, has a hole in it. You've blown a head gasket and it is touching the cylinder, and as the cylinder goes down, spark plug ignites it, the coolant gets sucked up through the head and it will leave out the tailpipe. If it's black, that means the gasket up here could be damaged and you are getting oil into your cylinder wall and causing the blown head gasket that way. Just fun fact. Okay, now I got the heads just sitting on here. There no bolts are on them yet. It's just sitting on those little nipples. Now, the heads will, like, you can bolt them on backwards. So you always have to try to think about how was the car positioned. That's why I left the motor mount on. The rear head always has these bolts sticking up for the coil packs, so I left them just how they were. Okay, so you're going to notice once you open up your head bolts, they are not all created equally. You got some longer than others, and then you got some crazy ones. And here is the difference. Now, you will notice, like, this distance, that's going to be a short bolt. But if you go to the top, it's going to be a long bolt. Now, the crazy bolt. This one always goes on the front of the engine. This one, I've never got one with this piece. I'm thinking it's gonna go like right in here. I'm kind of wondering if on some engines, if the oil dipstick tube doesn't attach to it. But short ones in the front, long ones in the back. This crazy guy goes there, because when you go to put your motor mount on, it slides over that. So all right, so we have all of the head bolts in and accounted for. Turns out they did give me an extra. The weird one that we weren't sure about, yeah, never seen that bolt before in my life. Remember the last video, part 1, how I was bragging about my engine being on a car dolly and it made it so much easier to work on? It was going good until you start torquing down these bolts, and then the engine started spinning on me. So I have these torqued down, but let's look at this. The heads, 37 foot-pounds plus 90 degrees. So what that means is once it clicks, I don't know if I can do this one-handed. That's the click I'm telling you about. So I like to do it kind of, we'll do it this way. Stay. So we got the 37, and now to get the 90 degrees, we're going to think of it as a clock. Like from here to here is 90, there to there 90, and so forth. So I usually go straight up, and then right there is 90 degrees. I've already got my 90 on these, so the head bolts are officially done. Next up, we're gonna grab our little push rod guides, and these are directional. You will see there's little nipples and holes for them to sit in, maybe. Yes. So there's the nipple going to its home. It's hard to do one-handed. Y'all get the idea. And they're gonna go just like that. Like, I'm struggling to put these on, and I totally forgot I can just snap. Okay, now they are sitting flush. And what you will see is each one of these guides lines up with the cam. So now we're gonna go over to the board we made in part 1 with the push rods, and you will drop them in. Man the torpedoes, 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. Now, like I said before, you can't get these out of order. You can, but if you're forgot what you were doing and got them mixed up, you will see there is a difference in length. And I was gonna replace them. I kind of rolled them. None of them looked bent. None of them looked wore down. You can see they're nice and shiny. So we're just gonna pop these back in, and here we go. Okay, so now we have all of our push rods in their proper holes. We're gonna take the lifter and you're gonna put it on there, and you'll realize, like, that doesn't look right. So once you get it the right way, you'll realize there's a hole for your ball, you know what I'm saying? And then this part back here is gonna sit on there. And what I'm doing at the moment is just getting it finger tight, and I'll go through and get them all on, and then we will get to torquing those down. Now I have all of these torqued right. On like a small block Chevy 350, you have to bring like cylinder number 1 to top dead center, and then you tighten like number 1, number 5, and number like fucking, I did that backwards, like 1, 4, and 8. I don't know. Like with these, I love it because you just torque all of them the same. You can go straight across. You want to skip each one, it doesn't matter. You just wham, and she's done. I attempted that once with a small block Chevy 350. I found out what the torque specs were for the lifters, hit them all with the same, and we bent a lot of pistons, or push rods. So on this next step, you got to have all your stuff ready, and you kind of got to go fast, in my opinion. Maybe you don't. I try to go fast. So you're going to need some RTV gasket maker. And just like Chevy 350s, 305s, you have to run a bead of gasket maker right here and right here. And then drop the upper intake down, and then you're going to start your torquing sequence with the 4 bolts in the center, just like that. And what it's going to do is, you know, smush down all this and seal it. And like you don't want to take your time torquing all this down, and this kind of this starts to set up in like 10-15 minutes. You know, you're still torquing down, and this is already set up, and then you have a gasket leak, and you have to tear it all apart and start over. So I guess like in the 80s, when they first did small block Chevys, like they had a factory gasket here, but they found out that it failed so much, it was better just to use RTV. Okay, so got the lower intake all bolted up, torqued down. Now we're going to start with the upper intake, and you will notice the gasket has a little nipple there. It's got one right here, this little build out. Same thing on the other side. And what that is for is when you put the upper intake down on top of it, you can like slide it just a hair to line up the holes. Because as soon as you take that and set it on here, like this gasket's gonna move around a little. So, okay, now I have my upper intake on and torqued. Now just know that this upper intake, like if you flip it 180, it will bolt on. And it's gonna cause some problems when you start adding the power steering and alternator and all that. But if you're not paying attention, I know I got the engine on wheels. I'm on this side, I'm on that side. If you get your sides mixed up, 100% it will bolt on. Now also, when you start torquing down your upper intake, don't forget that bracket, because that is for this little guy. It's gonna pop on right there. So I'm gonna put that piece on, and then I'm going to put the valve covers on. And I believe that's as far as I'm gonna go tonight. Tomorrow after work, I'm gonna work on this timing cover. And then if we get time after that, I will drop the oil pan, put a new gasket on it, and call it good. And then it's all about putting on alternator bracket, power steering, idler. It's coming together. Okay, so I know I said after the valve covers, I was calling it a night, but my wife is still on her way home, so I had a few minutes. I thought I would go ahead and change out the water pump, just because you don't need, you can change it out with this being off the car. I used an impact to hold the pulley and break these loose. There's 4 of them. If you try to do it with a wrench, it's just going to spin. You take off these 5 bolts. Now the thing is with this gasket, one, you'll notice there's 3 different gaskets, and these I believe are for the water neck on the lower intake, because that right there kind of looks like a thermostat. This is the one you want. I've noticed some of these kits will come with one that looks like a, what's the right word to say, a flaccid male appendage. It's like, it needs some Blue Chew. Not yet a sponsor of this channel. These holes, like this gasket only goes on here one way, and I recommend finding out which way it is before you get the gasket maker. So what I always do is put the gasket on, do a line of gasket maker just as a double, like an extra backup plan, and then put the new pump in. I believe some companies even recommend just using gasket maker and not the gasket, but it came with it, so I figure I'll use it. And then the next thing I'm going to do while I have this off is this gasket, whatever you want to call it right here. You just knock it out, pry it out with a screwdriver, grease up the new one, use a little hammer, tap it in, and then we're ready for tomorrow. Okay, so I had a little bit of time today. Thought I'd come out here, work on this a little bit more. Now, originally I was going to do the timing gasket and then drop the oil pan, but as you guys can see, the gasket, like, it hangs a little lower than the oil pan, so it was like flipping up. So I went ahead and took the oil pan off. Now, this is something to watch out for. As you guys can see, the holes are close, but no cigar. So then I flip the gasket around, and you'll notice all the holes are lining up better. So that's one way to, because this does not say front or rear, one way just to make sure that your gasket is on correctly. So to get to the oil pan, I had to take off this bracket that bolted the transmission to the block, and then there was a bunch of 10 millimeters around here and along this side. Pretty good chunk. So I took those out. It still was not coming out, Well, then there are 13 millimeters. 3 on this side, 2 on the back, and then the pan popped right off. But you know, once you got that off, like you can see your crankshaft. And okay, I had a weird glare. Anyway, you can see your crankshaft in there. It's looking normal. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead, get this put on, get it torqued, and then I will work on the oil pan. And like I said before, you can see right here where the oil pan gasket failed before, and as I start pulling it off, like you can see it's kind of been worn. So get the new gasket on the oil pan. Possibly today. I'm supposed to be doing a brake job for a friend, so definitely gonna get the timing cover put on. Maybe tomorrow, finish the oil pan, and after that I think we're spark plugs, headers, and hooking up my simplified harness, and she's ready to be tested. So I did go back and check my manual. It suggested to RTV both sides of the paper gasket, so I had to take it back off and do that. Now I'm going to put on the tensioner, the harmonic balancer, and power steering pump, and yeah. Okay, so went ahead and got the oil pan on and torqued, got the harmonic balancer, got the idler, went ahead and put the alternator bracket on, and yeah, that is pretty much how we do head gaskets and timing cover. Gonna start working on putting my headers on, the front motor mounts. What else we got? Yeah, it's coming together. Probably this weekend, if I'm not working, gonna get to hear this thing run. The best way to support the channel, go check out my website, clutchmarlesmotorsports.com. There is a link in the description of this video. If you like this video, hit like, hit subscribe, tell your friends. We are on the road to 5,000 subscribers. I don't remember what I was at last time I looked. I think we're roughly 300 away from reaching my goal. Had some friends in Tennessee make me a plaque that said YouTube 5,000 subscribers, and then we can finally hang that plaque up. You know, right now it's a liar, and I want to make it real. We are on the road to what, 100,000 when YouTube sends you one, but right now we gotta do the baby steps. We're going to 5,000, so hit subscribe. Check these out. We just rebuilt an engine. You know, the next video is gonna be me starting it up. It probably won't start. It never starts the first time. That's like every build I do. You go to fire it up, you realize you left off the starter wire, had the fuel lines backward. It happens to everybody. So yeah, we're gonna fire this thing up, get it going. We have a square body 90s Lumina. We're gonna put it in. We're gonna put this thing on the trailer, put some plates on it. It's almost done. What else we building? Been stripping a town car for a guy. We got another one back there we're gonna strip. Probably gonna do a walkthrough on how to strip a Crown Vic / town car, because here's the dash I took out in one piece. Seems like a lot of people struggle with that. It's like 10 bolts and then a little shaky shake. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming down the line. Corvette, there's a Corvette somewhere in there. We're gonna get that going. We're gonna build some enduro cars. We're going to Southern Illinois Showdown. We got a lot coming this summer. And, you know, you guys can, I'm bringing y'all with me. So here we go.